But I thought that if Joe Biden got elected, everything would return to normal. Why isn't everything returning to normal? Why is violent crime surging? Why are the police still being defunded? Why are the COVID lockdowns getting worse? Okay. Joe Biden's not president yet. But here we go, baby. Things are going to get a whole lot crazier, and I hope you are prepared. Because Joe Biden has said he's going to follow the science. Trump said he would follow political and economic advisors and mocked Joe Biden. The left said, Trump is so dumb. He won't even follow the science. Like, he's so stupid, you know. He didn't even do anything. And Joe Biden is going to follow the scientists like Osterholm, who said, lock everything down for 6 weeks, which would decimate the economy worse than it already is. And I love how right now the Dow Jones has hit a record of 30,000. Meanwhile, people are losing their jobs. Lockdowns are getting worse. People are facing mass eviction. Welcome to the oligopoly, the plutocracy, whatever you want to call it. The massive transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich. And you can thank all of the well-to-do neoliberal managerial elites and, yes, their passive leftist faux allies who supported Joe Biden, who are bringing us this glorious transfer of wealth future. Donald Trump resisted all of this, but you reap what you sow. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the star of today's show. Minnesota courts suspend criminal trials for 60 days due to COVID. Rest assured that as they continue their efforts to defund the police, your criminal courts and jails will be shut down and the criminals will be released because, you know, COVID lockdown. So what do you think happens when the criminals are being cut loose? The police are being defunded? Dude, they are decimating this country across the board. And the neolib leftist managerial elites voted for it. I'm saying as like a combination. I know many leftists don't like Joe Biden, but so many of them defended him and so many supported him. Oh, there are some essayist YouTubers who are like, but Joe Biden is just what we have to do because Donald Trump is a fascist. Congratulations. You walked off the cliff like a lemming. Okay, many of these progressives like the fact that criminal trials are being suspended and that violent crime is surging and innocent people are being victimized and gunned down. Sure. I was all about letting people live their lives and work, but you know what? I guess many of these leftists are getting exactly what they want. They want the ultra elites to control their lives. That's literally the plan. It's communism. In communism, you have the party elites who are in control of the centralized economy, and then you just do as you're told, like Dr. Fauci said recently, remember? Americans have an independent spirit, but it's time you do what you're told. Sure, Fauci. Well, until the Constitution is as long as the Constitution exists, I'm going to go ahead and say, nah, not going to happen. In Minnesota, they say, as cases of COVID-19 continue to surge, district courts across the state will suspend jury trials and ramp up remote hearings effective November 30th. The Judicial Council unanimously voted Thursday, November 19th, that all new criminal jury trials should be put on hold until February 1st, and that all court proceedings should be conducted remotely unless it is impossible to do so. Leftists, let me ask you, what do you think is going to happen to these people? Do you think they're going to be just let loose from the jails? Or do you think they're going to be locked up for an extended period of time arbitrarily because of COVID lockdown? They are making an authoritarian state, and it was the Joe Biden voters that supported this. Joe Biden's already putting the banksters and the lobbyists and the crony elites who supported the Iraq war on his transition team. It's coming. I can't imagine that many regular Americans are going to support this. And people are going to be pushed to the limit and they are going to snap. This is crazy. For us in the judiciary, we are used to doing a balancing analysis and we need to do that now. It seems to me as we consider whether and how we should ramp down some of our in-person court proceedings, according to Minnesota Supreme Court Justice Lori Gildea. Of course, on one side, the scale is our constitutional mission, our constitutional obligation to ensure access to justice and to ensure that it is provided freely and promptly and without delay. That is a very important weight on that side of the scale. On the other side of the scale is our duty to protect the health and safety of our judges. What does the Constitution say? Does the Constitution say in the Fifth Amendment you have a right to a speedy trial? Unless, of course, there is a pandemic. Yeah, no, it says you have a right to bear arms, to speak freely. You have a right to be free from soldiers, staying in your home. That's not really been an issue for us for the most part. To be free from unnecessary search and seizure to unreasonable. And the Fifth Amendment, Right to remain silent, speedy trial, all that good stuff. Nowhere in there does it say unless, of course, we are faced with a pandemic and the health and safety is at risk. It's not in there. They're trampling on the Constitution and they're working to destroy it. So what do? The police aren't upholding their oath. What about National Guard or any of these people upholding their oath? I honestly, I don't think so. I really don't. The oath is to the Constitution, not the individuals giving these edicts. But what happens when you're a cop and they say, here's what you do? What happens when you're a judge? Well, you know what? We're not going to hold these hearings anymore. Great. Well, welcome to New York City. They're going to return 120 officers to patrol subway stations in response to an alarming spate of attacks as police arrest homeless man, 33, who pushed a victim onto the tracks in Brooklyn. It's just going to get worse, man. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer or pessimistic or whatever, but it's getting worse. It is. I think something has to change. We need some kind of nonviolent civil disobedience, protest. Now, I will be reasonable and rational and say that this holiday week, people are flying. The amount of people expected to travel to their family, be with their families for Thanksgiving is only down around 5%, according to some stats. I don't have them pulled up. You can fact check it. Flights are down, but people driving, it's relatively the same. So for the most part, people are having their Thanksgiving. They're issuing these edicts on lockdown and people are basically saying, don't care. We're going to do our thing. They can't control everyone and they can't control everything. They can lie about it. But I do think there's enough people who are just going to blindly follow until they finally snap. And so I mentioned this in previous segments, but you've got regular, hardworking, law-abiding American citizens who are being pushed to the brink. It really does seem like they're trying to get people to snap, like they did in the first week of June when we saw the mass George Floyd riots. Much of that anger and resentment was redirected. A lot of these people, it's been speculated, were really just angry with the lockdown. They'd been stuck in their apartments. They couldn't go out, sitting there every day, almost in solitary confinement, making these ridiculous movies where it's like they're on Zoom calls or whatever. It's genuinely creepy stuff on par with Black Mirror. You ever see that episode where everybody lives in a cubicle and their walls are screens and they have avatars representing them and they all sit there like laughing, like, yeah, watching these shows? It's creepy stuff. Well, that's what happened. Now it's only getting worse. Criminals are being released. It's been happening across the board from jails because of COVID. Now they're suspending courts. So I can only imagine some people are going to be locked up for extended periods without the ability to get bail, which violates the Fifth Amendment. Some people are going to be released, which violates the actual safety of individuals, and all in the name of this pandemic, which is not in the Constitution. The Constitution says that we as individuals have rights. It does. It doesn't say anything about specific emergency, pandemics and how we're supposed to respond. Like I say, Patrick Henry didn't say, give me liberty or give me death, unless, of course, there's a pandemic. He said, give me liberty or give me death. Individualism is being eroded, and it's only going to, I know I said it for 50 million times, but under a Joe Biden presidency, it'll be bad. What have you done to make sure that you are ready for how bad it will be? If you are someone who lives out in the middle of nowhere, you're probably fine. If you're someone who lives in a city, I think it's fair to say there's going to be riots. People are going to break. They have their limit. There's already been a rise in suicides. There's been rising violent crime. It seems like everything we're seeing is just destroying the economy. I mean, think about it. You've got riots destroying businesses, defunding the police, increase in general street crime, mass lockdown. Everything is destroying the economy and shifting wealth and ownership to the global elites. That's the way it's been going. And with Joe Biden, the candidate of Wall Street and the managerial elites, then expected to just keep happening. Let me just say, to those that voted for this man, the regular working class people, you are going to suffer. I'm not saying it's a good thing. No, it's a bad thing. It's going to be bad. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have voted for this guy. Your wealth and ownership will be destroyed and dissolved. And you know what? There are many millennial people with no families, and so they have nothing to lose. They don't care. They're like, I don't care if I don't work. Just give me the money. But there are people who have kids and have families that are constrained and are scared to fight back and speak up, fight back figuratively, protest, because they have kids and they're worried, but I'll get canceled. The left will come for me. Boy, have they beaten you down into submission perfectly. Cancel culture stopped you from speaking up. Then you wouldn't advocate for the candidate who could actually have saved you, Donald Trump. Now they're telling you to sit down, shut up, stay in your home, do as you're told, like Fauci said. And like good little obedient serfs, you've done it. Congratulations. And under the guise of fighting fascism, no less, here we are. I'm chilling up in the middle of nowhere. I can go outside with tons of land and mountains before me, and there's nobody around anywhere. Many of you probably are in a similar position, but these cities are being absolutely destroyed. We'll see how things play out, because I think people are going to break and it's going to get really, really bad. And I've been saying it for quite some time, so I hope you've been paying attention. A lot of people like to say, oh, Tim, he shills those food bins. You betcha. I got a bunch. Not because I think the world is going to end, but because the shelves are already being stripped clean because of COVID lockdown. That happened earlier in the year. And if you couldn't see that coming, even though it already happened, I don't know what to tell you, man. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m., but tonight at 8 p.m. at Timcast IRL, we're going to have a big show. So stick around. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you all then.